They're rolling. Derek, we rolling? Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, yes, I'm as excited as you are. I can't believe it's finally time that we are having this conversation. I can't believe I've managed to get the person who is seated in front of you here, seated on the CTA seat. It is an absolute honor and a pleasure. Let me tell you why. A lot of you may not know that. Even she may not know this. So I think it's only right for me to start this by honoring and saying CTA in the format that exists would not be there if it wasn't for the person who is seated here. Why, you ask? Because when I worked at YouTube, I went around begging and asking everybody whether I could have a conversation with them and whether I could do their digital, but nobody was ready to innovate to that at that time. Until I bumped into two people. One was my roommate, aka my wife, who had no choice. But secondly, outside of that, you were the first person who allowed a young boy who was working as Google. A YouTube enabler, Google, yes, Google Kenya, and you said, no problem, I'll give you the chance with a brand that you had fully established. And you gave me, myself, and that's when I also met Derek, the opportunity to begin working on a digital YouTube video brand, let's call that, to innovate into that space. And it's been an amazing journey. Through that, I got to learn a lot about monetization of digital partnerships with people, and decided when the time was ready that I would step out and do it. Okay. Hence why this is here. So it's only right for me to start off by first saying thank you. Secondly, you're the most requested person on CTA aside Nyashinsky. You and Nyashinsky go par to par. So as you can clearly see, there is something right that you have been doing with your life, with the different spaces that you've been given. You are a pioneer and a culture shaping icon within the media and entertainment space. You have done a lot. There's a moment when you were on radio that you were known as the queen of radio and commanded the largest, and I need to say this so that guys can know, she commanded the largest market share of radio in the morning. I think at the time you were telling me it's about 23%, if I was not wrong.
It was huge. I can't remember the numbers.
I can't remember, but hey, I'm just letting them know. On top of that, you sit on various boards. You're an advisor, not just within the media and entertainment industry, but there's a lot of boards that you sit in. I can't begin naming them all because they're a whole bunch. And on top of that, you have been fundamental in mentorship. Every single person, or a lot of the people who've sat here, from Moav, Adele, Sinai, Solomon Wangwe, all of these people have mentioned your name with honor. Mentioned your name in a way that they're absolutely grateful that you passed through their life. Myself and Derek included are also doing that. So it is an absolute pleasure. I know I can see people's emojis and they can't believe that you are finally gets to sit here. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, put your hands together for none other than Caroline Toko.
Yay! Okay.
Caroline, welcome to the CTA seat.
Thank you.
Absolute honor and pleasure to have you here.
This is very strange for me. I do not sit on this side of the camera.
We realize that.
Yes.
And that's why it's also an honor, because we have actually looked for interviews that you've done. We can only find one.
Me and Larry Mador, yes.
The rest is just you doing.
I was very awkward even then because I was just out of my element.
Yeah.
Okay,
great. Enough of that. Caroline, welcome to the seat. I'm not even going to waste any more time. I'm just going to let the people know this is not going to be a usual CTA. Caroline's story can go for 7 weeks. Unfortunately, we don't have that time.
I highly doubt.
We're going to work according to her schedule.
Okay.
So, Caroline, to kick it off, I want to hear a little bit about your upbringing. I want to hear about the girl. I want to hear. Let's start there.
Being here at the Pan-Afric Sarover brings me back to where I grew up. So I grew up the road. Just up the road, I know that every time I drive by, I have a look, and there used to be these civil servants' flats for the Kenya Railways, and that's where I grew up. When I came from Kenyatta National Hospital, up on Lienda home, and then I went to school across the road from there.
Was that? First of all, in your home, how many are you? What born?
I'm the firstborn. I'm the chief. And then there is my late sister Regina, my brother John, and my baby sister Lucia.
What?
Yes.
Lucia?
There's Lucia.
I never heard you talk about Lucia.
Lucia is a big girl, a honcho in her own right at Knight Frank. She does not need me to talk about her.
Love it.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about your upbringing. Tell me about the family that you grew up in.
So, yes, there was 4 of us, but actually, when I think about it, there was probably more than that. There was probably 4 plus 8. My dad is the eldest in his family, and his father died the year he married my mother. So my father raised his siblings and raised us. And you know, hindsight is 2020. When you're growing up, you think that's normal, that your uncles are around, your aunties are around, your grandmother is here every so often. But both my parents actually were very instrumental in raising their own siblings. So when I think about it, we were not just four.
Yeah.
We were never just that. And I think you've heard me say this before. I have great admiration for my parents. Because, you know, what? How do you do that? But I also know this, you know, without a doubt, that a lot of it had to be done through sacrifice and putting everybody else first. And that's why I spoil them rotten now. Because they really, when I think about my life even before I became a parent, you know, you want to go somewhere, you call a friend, you're like, let's go. My parents didn't have that. They couldn't. They
were thrown with kids.
Their own,
Yep.
and you can't leave your siblings behind either. So, you know, that was our upbringing. So when we were here on Valley Road, you know, we used to cross the road to go this highway, this crazy road.
Yeah.
We used to cross it to go to school and cross it to go home.
Was that the first school that you went to?
The only school. I'm a Valley Road girl for 12 years. Standard 1 to Form 4.
That's a couple of years.
Yes, 12
They
years.
even have the Form 1, Form 2.
All the way to Form 4.
Oh, that's at Musongari.
No!
Here.
Here in Valley Road.
You were there from 12 years.
Standard 1 to Form 4.
Okay, we're going to definitely have to go.
And it's very important, you know, we clarify that, because once in a while on social media, some person will say, oh, my friend remembers you from Pangani. I'm like, what are you talking about? Or my friend knows you from, I'm like, no, went to one school for 12 years.
Yeah.
And actually, by that same token, I have known some of the same people since then, since I was 6.
I can imagine.
Yes.
I mean, some of them you probably were there the whole 12 years.
Yes, together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, even just before we entered the school, I want to know what was like it between you and your siblings.
You know, there was me and Regina for the longest time. So, you know, and I think that's why actually, when I say I have a brother or I have a sister, everybody's like, what? Yes, because there was me and her for the longest time. And we were like tag team, you know? And then John was he was this round baby. It was just cute. Yeah. But my kid brother was born actually with a bronchial issue. So he had a problem with his bronchitis for the longest time. Had surgery, I think, at 18 months. I remember that. And now that I see it, because Kimeo is also asthmatic. But, you know, when I think about what my parents had to do then to try and figure out how to work with him. So I'm one of those people who's like, Ventolin, I know that thing. I know that thing. Yeah, I got first-hand experience. But when I see the days when, you know, I look at Kimeo, I listen to his cough, and I'm like, we need to get nebulized. Let's go. And I think, but there was no nebulization then.
What does it get?
John used to go to Marta, because by then we lived in South B. And he used to get an adrenaline shot.
Whoa.
Yeah. So once again, my admiration for my parents. And here's the thing: you actually never see your parents as people until you have children.
Yep.
Yeah. And if you're going through that, it's okay. It will come. It will come.
You will have a whole new
Your respect for them, everything.
About them.
Yes, and then for the first time, you see them as people.
Hands down.
Yes, and if you haven't learned to see your parents as people, you haven't grown yet.
Yeah,
you haven't grown. It's okay. It will come.
Drop that nugget. I love it.
It will come.
You know, you've talked about your parents, and Solomon, who we both know, has in one of the videos and even one of the conversations that you've had with him about your mom and your dad purchasing land from him. One of the things that he said is Caroline's mother is. Hey, that's where she gets it from. That's where she gets it from.
I'm Rose Mutoko light. Trust me, I'm Rose Mutoko light. Yes. So John was an interesting entry into Regina's lives and mine, and I think also for our parents. First boy, you know, and then came Lucia, who was in a hurry. One moment she's crawling, and then she's running, then she wants to know why she can't go to school, and she's crying. Because we would leave home in the morning, we're going to school, and she's like, why am I being left behind? So my mom always says she's one, out of all of us, she went to school the earliest. because she just couldn't stand being left at home.
Yeah.
And back in the day, really, nobody sent anybody to school before they were like 4. Nobody did, but that chick went to school early.
Yeah.
We played like all children. You only know what you know. So we knew that as we went to a private school, that other people had different lives. I mean, I went to school with the daughters of cabinet ministers, members of parliament. But I think one of the things, and I try to also borrow that in my own life as a parent, is that this is our life. Yes, they have that life. Other people have a different life, but this is ours. Because I never felt like I was lacking. There are those of us who all took the bus, and those of us who also got dropped to school. Or in the case of, you misbehave and the driver is withdrawn.
Yeah.
Yes. But I had a great upbringing. And I say this all the time. We were not rich, but we never lacked.
I love that.
We never lacked.
I love that.
In any way. Not for attention, not for love, not for spankings. Yeah.
There's some discipline just in case.
Wait.
Just in case.
Even in church, my mother could pinch you another one. Yeah, literally the one that brings like a tear down your, yes. But no. And by the way, all along, also making sure that my uncles, my aunts finished school, got jobs. My parents were doing that. Yeah.
Amazing to hear that. Okay, let's move. Let's cross the road, literally.
Yes.
And enter into LCVR. Loreto
Yes.
Valley Road.
Yes, Loreto Common Valley Road.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Like I said, you only know what you know at that point in your life. It was a great school. That's where I learned to swim. The water was always cold. We were all holding on to the railing and kicking. So, these days when I see kids learning how to kick, I'm like, yep, that's how you do it. That's the way you do it. And I've always said the dichotomy of my life, which is private school, public university, is everything. Because Loreto, and I know there's been this meme going around saying we were all created equal, and then some of us went to Loreto. And I tell you this is true. Because, I understood that school, and you don't know it then, you come into the real world and then you realize school is not just about academia. It is the fact that we were constantly challenged to do the table tennis, the piano, recorder, tennis, swimming. There was more to us, but also who we were. I mean, I remember Sister Maureen and the fact that, sometimes you take a little moment at your locker before you go to your next class and you're running and she's like, ladies, do not scattle. Ooh. You walk. So, when I meet haphazard people, I'm like, but what's wrong? Why are you like this? And you don't realize the school doesn't teach you how to add and subtract and read. You could learn that under a tree.
Yep.
You could. It is everything else that institution puts together in you. And I think, truthfully, what Loreto has done, and you don't have to go far to see it.
I mean, I just interviewed Adele.
Yes.
And as soon as, in fact, she said that's the ancestors speaking.
Oh, really?
Yeah. As soon as she said Elsevier, I was like, what's with Elsevier and articulation, proper presentation of women?
But they gave us confidence. They gave us dare. They gave us that capacity, and it's myself, it's Adele, it's Julie Gishuru, it's Jockey Ndongo, Loreto created, it's Gladys Cholet. So, and we should see us in a room. We picked each other out. We're like, I know you. Yeah. It's Patricia Thao. We know ourselves. Yep. We know our people. Unlike Alliance, we don't go around, being overbearing about it.
I went to Alliance.
Yeah, no.
I mean, tell me a little bit more about the school in terms of, it's a Catholic, so I love
it's a Catholic school. Somebody told me the other day, oh my goodness. So, first and foremost, there were too many Carolines. There was Caroline Magiri, there was Caroline Otieno, Caroline Waweru, Caroline Mutoko. There were so many of us. So, for most of Caroline Makoha, oh gosh, I remember all of them. So, for a lot of our lives, we were referred to by our second names. So, Carol Magiri, who's now Carol Kobia, she was always called Magiri. Because how do we differentiate you?
I get it.
Yes, so it was Magiri, it was Makoha, it was Mutoko, it was Caroline Otieno was called Otieno.
Yeah.
Yes. And then when I went to the University of Nairobi, I still didn't have my Caroline back because I was now Mutoko CN. So finally, I get into the work environment and I have my name, and you're all trying to play with that. You, kujeni vile mnakuja, kujeni vile mna. It's Caroline.
Please.
Yes. And by the way, here's the thing, and Carol Musyoka will tell you, Carol O'Doul will tell you, carols are carols, Carolines are Carolines. Yes.
Love it.
Yes.
You talk about moving from Loreto, I mean, this Valley Road.
Valley Road, yes,
to
literally.
South B.
Yes.
What was that shift about, and how did that shift?
Like all parents, you know, or people of my parents' generation, tumenunua nyumba. Yes. Actually, the other day, my mother told me something really interesting. I'm in the process of, I haven't finished, but I'm almost there, prayers, things, of buying my parents a flat. And
Buying your parents a flat.
yes,
That's honorable.
they have been in South B for 39 years. The house that they bought has served its function. And by the way, having that conversation with my father was a toughie. But I remember my mother saying, I have never paid rent. Because remember, when she married him, he had a job at the Kenya Railways. So
That's why you're-
they lived in the railway provided housing. But when she left there, akaenda kwa nyumba yake South B. So my mother, I don't know, hii kitu inaitwa rent ni nini. And you should hear the way she says it. Huh? I wish I could get her. It would make every person understand it's a very powerful statement. She said, I've never paid rent. Yeah. But it's because they bought a house. Tukaenda South B bwana. And now, rather than cross the road, tulikuwa tunaingia either number 11 ama number 33.
To come to
school.
Okay, you were driving to school, there was no bus.
No, it was bus, number 11. No, we were in buses. His stories zingine za.
No, what I mean, it was public transport.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh no, Loreto didn't have a bus by then.
Yeah.
Valley Road didn't have a bus by then. So yes, so we either took the number 11. So we took the number 11.
And it's you and Regina
It was
and
me and
Brother
Regina.
Thomas.
Yeah, but also I tell people I caught the same bus as Microbar. Yes, because he was also, he was in Aga Khan. So if we were on the number 11, we would go from South B into town, and then town, which would be Gilhouse, you go to Kencom, and then we catch a bus from there to Community, we walk down to Valley Road.
Nice.
Or we got the 33, and the 33 went from South B, Ngumo to Community, and then we'd walk down.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
So I mean, I think I had an amazing childhood.
How was it be? Like I mean, now are you playing around with guys? Are you not guys, but
People. Well, Mrs. Mutoko, si huyo. I mean, first and foremost, it was school home. We spent a lot of time at the Our Lady Queen of Peace, the church there. That's where we did our holidays. That's Smita likes to talk about this because during the holidays, or if there was midterm or something, we would prepare the church for evening mass. I would do the first reading, or I'd do the responsorial psalm. You set up, the readings, the theme of the mass. You do the coloring. If there was a Christmas, churches play a very important role in the community. They do, because I think. And when I think about all the people I knew from South B, we were the ones from Golden Gate. Kila mtu alikuwa ametoka hapo Mariakani, guys of near Mata, and then there was us guys and our accents from Valley Road. Guy, sour too. But I think if it wasn't for the work that Our Lady Queen of Peace, so it's very important to remember the church is Our Lady Queen of Peace, but the school is Our Lady of Mercy. Okay?
Our Lady of Mercy.
Yes. If it wasn't for the work that church did to keep young people engaged, to produce Christmas musicals, Easter musicals, because by the time we've rehearsed for a musical for 3 weeks, and you're not doing anything else, and my mother knows where we are. So that's really my life in South B.
I'm hearing there's a lot of discipline in terms of, there's none of that random misbehaving. So there's a lot of structure within your household.
And actually, I've realized I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I'm ordered. I don't like scattered thinking, and I can't. But what I do appreciate even about the discipline and the order is, Richie, this woman has 4 kids, and she's also with her husband, hapa na hapa, with her in-laws. There's no time for democracy, bwana.
Then she was Jobo.
No, and she was Jobo. What wawili? Hakuna democracy hapa. There's no time.
There's no time for no nonsense.
I mean, how?
Yeah.
I mean, and I say I can see it now.
I get it.
I can see it now.
Yeah.
But once again, we had a great childhood. I mean, I remember that she was very clear about sending away the housekeeper every December. Every December.
It's you guys.
It's us guys. Nobody operates a vacuum cleaner like me. Nobody.
Sarova, vacuum we see.
Nobody. And I know I don't like to iron, though I'm good at it. I will do dishes. Cook all you want. I will do dishes. I love doing dishes. Regina was very much the person who liked to cook, and I was like, knock yourself out. So that used to be our Decembers. And here's the thing. Unless you create a sense that something's missing, and this is something you do at home, your children don't know otherwise, because we would come back to school, and I remember Lisa Fernandez used to say we went to London. What is that?
Who are those?
What? You know? And because you remember when you come back from the holidays, there's always that first composition. What did you do this holiday? Hey, unaandika yako. And you also make up some as you go along. Here's creative writing. Here's creative writing. So that was great.
Let me ask you, at this time in school, had you begun thinking, I'm really interested in, and we can be talking maybe at any point in school, did you begin thinking, okay, listen, this media thing?
No.
So what are you thinking at that time? What's
I mean, you totally understand that you need the grades. They're important. You know that you swim well. You know you don't like netball, so we wish we played something else. Tennis, oh my goodness, the amount of money my father spent on tennis rackets. And the only reason I say that is that every time I need to get another hockey stick, another set of shin pads, and I'm like, Caroline, imagine you can't, because you had enough Slazenger tennis rackets that somehow you broke. How?
Constant.
Lost tennis balls, you know? Oh, it went into the stream, it went over the bush, it went into the road. So, you know, I will say this, we were kept engaged. We were busy. We had stuff to do. It wasn't always the books. It wasn't always the books.
Holistic. I mean, even you talked about the church.
Yes. Yeah.
And now you brought up the tennis.
But there was sport in our lives, and school really encouraged that. So I'm always
Were you doing well book-wise?
I mean, I was okay, but I wasn't, you know, the SWATs.
Yes.
Colette, allow me to look into the camera, Colette Makoriwa. Those people. I wasn't one of those people, okay? I mean, there were some gangsters out there, you know? But I did okay. And this is something I think I still say, and I know it informed my own decision about the sort of schools I wanted my children to go to. I don't remember a time in Valley Road where the big deal was, how did we do? I mean, KCB metoka or CPE metoka or... And I remember Sister Candice used to say, only your best is good enough. Only your best. If that is your best... You're
told that back then?
Yes. And she said it all the time. Only your best is good enough. And you understood that if that is your best, they will take your best. And I think I understood that subliminally, but even more and more and more as I grew. So I don't know whether as grown-ups we now understand that education, the things we say to our children, the things we say when we're mentoring another person, it's like software.
Yep.
You install it.
Yep.
And when it's needed, it calls up the file.
Yep.
But you've got to put in the software.
100%.
Yes.
The reason why I start CTA from this way back is because what I'm trying to hear is what kind of software was installed in you.
Yes.
So that when we're hearing Caroline in media or moderating something with the president, you're not just pulling it out and thinking about that.
Yeah.
It was installed.
It's installed in you and you don't know when it's being done. Okay. So remember, this is positive and negative.
Yes.
But we'll stay with the positive. So you're 7 years old, you're 8 years old, and you're being told this is how. In fact, Roy Karuize, hi Roy, loves to say he can always tell when he's dealing with a Loreto girl because of the way our Y's and our G's curve all the way down. I'm like, we all write the same, but apparently there's a way we write.
Software.
Apparently. I didn't know that until he said it. But so you're being told this is how you space your, and remember it was a little finger spacing? This is how you write, this is how you keep your books, this is how you are, this is how you put yourself together, this is how long your uniform is, this is how short your tennis skirt is. Sister Philippine was very clear. And you need your white underwear when you're playing tennis. And you think, oh God, these people, because you also get really, really opinionated. You're 12, you're 13, you're trying to be, but the truth is, what they do is they give you tools, and then you show up one day in society, because Loreto Valley Road is not the world, and then somebody asks you, Kwani, you have a special occasion today. Why are you dressed like that? It's like, isn't this how you're supposed to be?
Yep.
Isn't this how you're supposed to be?
Yep.
And then you realize they didn't get the same software you did.
And your software suddenly becomes a positive or negative in life.
Exactly. My positive, and we'll go back to Adele and everybody else, our positive is this, is that what we have when we enter the real world is a very, very clear competitive advantage.
Ooh.
A very clear one.
I love it.
A very clear one.
So now you begin thinking like, thank you, parents. You could have taken me to a public school.
Let me tell you, the penny drops every year. I don't know whether I mentioned this to you. In 2019, I was at the World Tourism Forum. I'm in Lausanne. This amazing lady called Jacinta from KTB apparently had mentioned they were looking for moderators. Me, nimetolewa hapa ati niende huko. First of all, was like, mkona jokes lakini saa tu. Twende. And they get in touch. We, go through the fee negotiation. Not difficult. They ask for my rider. Do you know I have a rider?
Yep.
Yeah, me and Shaggy and J-Lo.
Yep.
They ask for my
And
rider.
Adele. You see,
Yes. And I get to Lausanne.
That's a big thing. You have a rider. You're not a musician, but as Caroline Mutoko, the moderator.
The moderator, speaker, yes.
There's a way to get you, and we'll get there.
Yes. Okay. And I get to Lausanne, and part of the job beyond, moderating this 3-day event, and I was co-moderating with an amazing young man from Switzerland, was to actually look through these projects that had been put forward towards, creating a more vibrant world tourism market. And my first meeting the next morning, I'm sitting in this room, and at some point I say, gentlemen, because I'm completely outranked, outaged, outmoneyed, everything. And then, and I need to say this, first and foremost, I understand why I was there. I ticked 2 boxes for diversity. Black, female. So you get it. Now that you're here, you also need to understand, now you represent. And you don't represent for yourself now, you present your nation, you represent your continent. You got to. So you bring your A game. And I remember at some point as we took our first break, I asked for a selfie for the entire room. Amazing gentlemen, all of them gray-haired and white. And then me. So I send the picture to my mother and she tells me, are you okay? And I wrote to her, and it's a pity my phone is far away, and I told her, this is why you sent me to Valley Road. You gave me, I will give it to you, so that you can put it on this, yes.
Yeah. It's this one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I told her, you gave me the capacity to be in this room today. Do you know how many years later? I held my own in Lausanne. I can't wait to go back. I learned so much and I love these jobs. But when you're asking me about the software and that thing I call the competitive advantage, is that you don't understand when the software is being installed. And which is why I think I tell you a lot when I'm talking to my kids. I do not hold back because I must be willing to input in them whatever it is that will call itself up when she needs it.
Yes. I mean, just to keep on this software, this generation, another thing that is shaping their software is media and entertainment.
True.
So let's talk about media in your life at that time.
Aha. So first and foremost, nobody did that. Nobody did. No, who did media? Who?
No,
Media was Kenya Broadcasting Corporation and VOK.
That's it.
That was it.
That's it.
So you must remember, out of the University of Nairobi, worked for CBA. In fact, I remember telling a client the other day, yes, I was a banker for 2 years. I will always be so grateful to Isaac Awando. He hired this completely clueless person because somehow he kind of just liked the fact that I called him and I said, are you hiring? Incidentally, I have never gotten a job I just didn't ask for.
You've never gotten a job you didn't
I just asked for it.
That already on its own is huge, that fact that you asked.
I called and he said, can you be here? I'll never forget this, and I tell the story anytime I have a chance to talk about Isaac Awando. And he says, can you be here? CBA Webera Street, like 7 in the morning, which means, I had to be up with the crickets and the birds. And I'm sitting in his office. He says, I hope you take black tea. He had this maroon thermos in his office. Black tea. Let me tell you, I swallowed that thing slowly because I was not gonna tell him I don't take black tea. He takes black tea. And we had a conversation. He said, we are actually hiring graduate trainees. A lady called, she was Rose Moira then, she's Rose Musau, will be in touch with you. Rose called me, software again, made sure I showed up proper skirt length, stockings, proper heel shoe, blazer. Do not sit down until you're invited to sit down. And she said, I don't have to put you together.
That's what she said?
Yes, I don't have to put you together. I didn't realize because she recruits. What she does is also ensures that she puts you together before the Yes. But Mrs. Mutoko ni nani? Stockings to liver. I think I rebelled for a little while when I left home. And then by the time I was like 26 again, I was back.
Okay, let me hear then about university, because that's another place.
Wow.
So you finished from 4
University of Nairobi. So I finished fourth form on the 28th of November. I was working on the 4th of December.
28th of November.
I was employed on the 4th of December. Mrs. Mutoko was not letting me sit in the house. You do know where I grew up?
I love Mrs. Mutoko.
Do you know where I grew up? And by the way, this is hindsight.
Yeah.